The 2026 Dynasty rookie class is finally shaping up, and that's why I'm bringing you the wide receiver rankings for that 2026 class, starting at the top with Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon is a third-year receiver out of USC. He's listed at 5'11", 195 pounds. While that's not ideal wide receiver size, it isn't something that's hurting his profile. Now, looking back, Makai Lemon had a solid sophomore season, put up 760 yards on 52 catches, 3 touchdowns. He had a PFF receiving grade in the mid-80s. All very good for a sophomore, but this junior season is when his breakout has really hit. Just look at the stats here on the screen. You can see that Makai Lemon is among the leaders in college football in all major statistical categories. He is 4th in receptions, 1st in yards. He's up there in touchdowns. His yards per route run is at an amazing 3.63, 4th in the class. He's got the top PFF grade. He's leading in missed tackles forced, and he is 2nd in yards after contact. There's really nothing this season that I haven't seen Makai Lemon be able to do that makes me think he is an elite NFL prospect. Watching the film, it's very clear. He is an elite route runner, he has fluid movements down the field, and he's very quick. Now, don't get this confused as Makai Lemon is exclusively a slot player. He's taken about 70% of his snaps out of the slot so far this season, but it's by no means a requirement that he play out of the slot. He's shown the ability to play outside as well, and it's something he should be able to do at the NFL level. One of the comps I see with Makai Lemon is actually Malik Nabers. Now, size-wise, they're not all that different. Nabers came in at 6 foot 200 to Makai Lemon's 5'11", 195. Not a substantial difference there. Malik Nabers also played more out of the slot than he played out wide at the college level, but it's been obvious that he can translate to the outside at that NFL level. And if you look at their numbers across their final college season, there's actually a lot of similarities on a per-game basis. Both of them leaders in yards per game in their class, and the numbers are not very far off. Lastly, Makai Lemon has put up these numbers against the top competition as well. When he faced Illinois, 11 receptions for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns against a ranked opponent, an opponent ranked above them, and he put up those numbers. He's continued to do it. His past week against Notre Dame, another top opponent, and while he didn't have the same numbers as he's had the rest of the season, it was very clear that Notre Dame tried to take him away all game, that was their focus. He still managed 76 yards on 4 receptions in this game, and that is his down game in a rainy weather game against top competition. I will in no way be surprised if Makai Lemon is a top 10 NFL draft pick this coming April. And my second ranked wide receiver in this class is Jordyn Tyson out of Arizona State. Now, Tyson shows a little bit more of that prototypical wide receiver size at 6'2", 200 pounds. While he has great size for the wide receiver position, it's his production that really stands out for Tyson. Well, he's technically in his 4th season in college. He missed almost all of the 2023 season with injury, so he's essentially a 3-year player. Now, last year, his second full season of college football, he put up almost 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns in his first full season with Arizona State. So even coming into this year, he was pretty much at the top or near the top of everyone's boards for the wide receiver position. Well, he's number 2 on my list. That's not to take away how special of a prospect Jordyn Tyson is. This season, Tyson is on pace for another great statistical season, and what makes it possibly the most exciting, the most impressive of anything, is that this has not been a great passing offense for Arizona State. Sam Leavitt's a very interesting quarterback, and we'll talk about him in our quarterback rankings episode, but the passing offense just hasn't clicked for this team. And yet, Tyson is putting up numbers that lead college football in a number of metrics. He's 1st in receptions, 2nd in touchdowns, 1st in first downs. And those numbers are a substantial portion of this entire Arizona State offense. He has 39% of the team's receptions on 37% of the team targets and 42% of his team's entire passing yardage. Tyson has absolutely dominated this offense in college, and I think he has the ability to dominate an offense at the NFL level as well. This is a player who separates very well against man defenses. He has very reliable hands. He's just an overall very good route runner. When it comes time to the NFL draft, I'm not sure who between Tyson and Lemon is going to be selected first, but I think both of them will be taken in the first half of the first round. All right, everyone has those two guys as their top two wide receivers in this class, pretty much without fail. It's very clear they're the 1A and 1B in this class. This is where things get interesting and where I'm diverging from consensus. My third overall wide receiver in this class is Elijah Sarratt for Indiana. Sarratt is 6'2", 213 pounds, and I think offers the best combination of size and production in this entire class. And this isn't just like a big-bodied receiver on the outside that's very limited in his mobility and his athleticism. No, this is a guy who can win down the field on deep balls. He's a great tracker. He's a great route runner. He has sudden movements. But he's also the big-bodied, reliable receiver that you can throw to get those much-needed first downs. Now, Sarratt wasn't a highly recruited high school prospect. This is someone who's probably a year older than most of the wide receiver prospects coming out this year, but it's the exact profile that I want to see out of an older prospect. Started at a small school, he was at St. Francis, put up some good numbers, had 13 touchdowns. Transferred to James Madison and had 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns, another very good season production-wise, and then transferred over to Indiana to get into the Big Four program. In his first year at Indiana, another really good season, just under 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. He has been productive every stop along his college path. And now in his fourth season, we're really seeing the true breakout. He is one of the top players in a lot of statistical categories across these Power 4 wide receivers. He's in the top 10 in receptions, yards, touchdowns, PFF grade, first downs. He is really producing at a high level. Now, this is someone that I think is going to really rise up a lot of boards as the season progresses and into the college football playoffs because he's on this exciting Indiana team with, I think, the best quarterback in college football, Fernando Mendoza. If this Indiana team makes a real run in the college football playoffs, I will not be the only person ranking Sarratt in my top 3. Fourth in my wide receiver rankings is Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Now, Carnell Tate, again, some really good size at 6'3", 195 pounds. And if you feel like every year in this scouting time of the year, you are looking at Ohio State wide receivers, that's because you are, and you should be. Over Carnell Tate's 3 years at Ohio State, he's played with wide receivers like Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, and Jeremiah Smith. While the production may not be quite at the level of some of the other wide receivers, he's been doing it while sharing the field with some elite prospects at the wide receiver position. Now, Jeremiah Smith is set to come out in the 2027 class, and he has been talked about as the next generational wide receiver prospect. He's put up the numbers to back up a lot of that talk as well, so it's understandable that Carnell Tate isn't going to have the elite top numbers in this class. But if you look at it, they are still great numbers. He still ranks 8th in touchdowns, 7th in yards per route run. He's 2nd of all wide receivers in the Power 4 programs in PFF grade. He is across the board putting up very good numbers, and the tape is only more flattering to his profile. When you watch Tate on tape, he is a reliable target. He can go up and get any ball thrown for him deep down the field. He's super strong at the catch point, and he's just an overall balanced wide receiver that can do a little bit of everything. This feels a lot to me like Emeka Egbuka last year. There's very clear differences in their game and even their situation leading up to the draft, but both players weren't necessarily the number one at any point in college on this Ohio State team because they were deferring to absolute generational prospects like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jeremiah Smith. I think with Egbuka's success in the NFL so far, we're going to see NFL front offices not shy away at using first-round draft capital on Carnell Tate. I have all of those 4 wide receivers as first-round graded talents in the NFL draft. That alone is going to make this a very strong wide receiver class for fantasy, but the depth is where there's a lot of strength as well. Now, before we get into the depth of this wide receiver class, go ahead and subscribe because we're going to do running back, quarterback, tight end, and full mock drafts all off-season long. We're going to get to them early and often so that you have all of the information you need to absolutely kill your rookie drafts. Next up in the rankings, my 5th ranked wide receiver is Kevin Casey Concepcion. Concepcion is a 5'11", 190-pound wide receiver playing at Texas A&M this season, came from NC State his first 2 college seasons, and he's had a very interesting path to where he is right now. As a freshman, he put up about 850 yards and 10 touchdowns. He was an absolute fan favorite. This is someone that in Devy circles was talked about very highly, that he could be a top wide receiver in this class. And then he kind of fell off his second year, had a down year, 460 yards, 6 touchdowns. Just overall, quite a regression from his very exciting freshman year. But now he's back on the scene in his junior year with very good numbers again. Now, if you look at his numbers here, how he compares to other Power 4 wide receivers, he maybe doesn't have the same production so far as some of the receivers I have above him, or even maybe a couple below him in these rankings. But when you watch him on film, he is absolutely electric. You can see with the ball in his hands, he is extremely quick. He makes sudden cuts, and as a route runner, he is just so fluid. He is someone that I think can do anything on 3 levels of the field. He can be used in multiple different ways as a deep threat, underneath for yards after the catch kind of player. He plays out of the slot and out wide. There's just so many different ways to utilize Concepcion. And well, 5'11", 190 pounds, and he may not even measure at 190 at the combine. But it's not ideal size, but it's also not the undersized kind of prospect that you really have to dock. We've seen in recent years, guys like Devonta Smith, Tank Dell, do very well in the NFL at much smaller size than we see Concepcion. The new NFL isn't based just on size of the wide receiver position. DBs are getting smaller and faster, linebackers getting smaller and faster. So it is now the time that these smaller wide receivers are really thriving and making an impact at the NFL level. Now, I don't know if the NFL is going to see Concepcion as a first-round talent, but I think he's someone that will go just on the verge of that one, the first round, second round, and be an early second round selection. Now, 6th on my rankings is probably the exact opposite kind of profile as Concepcion, and that is Denzel Boston, the 6'4", 209-pound wide receiver out of Washington. Denzel Boston has been with Washington for technically 4 seasons now, although for his first 2 seasons, he barely saw the field. It was in 2024 last season that he had his breakout. 63 receptions, 830 yards, 9 touchdowns. Had a really good season and put people on notice for this draft class. Now this season, he's even building on those numbers and putting up very good metrics. He is a touchdown scorer, a deep threat. He is someone that is targeted down the field a lot, 10th in average depth of target among these Power 4 wide receivers. And you see it on film too. He is running a lot of downfield routes, and you can't blame the Washington coaching staff for doing that. He has been very successful on them, and in these contested deep ball situations, he is possibly unrivaled in this class at bringing them down through physical contact. While that skill is certainly a standout one, it's kind of his only skill right now. He's a fairly one-dimensional wide receiver at the college level, used on those deep go routes, a few post routes, but mostly just down the field stuff. Now, that's not to say he can't improve in other areas of his game. I can see him being more in the possession receiver kind of game, beating zones. He has these skills. He is a good route runner. We just haven't seen it at the college level yet. Boston's someone who I see as one of the highest ceiling players in this draft at the wide receiver position. If he does broaden his route tree, then I don't know if anyone can match that 6'4", 210-pound frame and his contested catch ability and the way he moves at that size. Now, the downside, the reason I have him here at 6th in my rankings is because it is more likely that his outcome is more of a Mike Williams, a specialist, a deep ball contested catch specialist type of wide receiver at the next level. Now, if that's what he turns out as, he's not a 0 for fantasy. I think he's someone that's still fairly safe in having a role in the NFL on your fantasy team as well. but the ceiling outcome is where you are really excited, why you really want to draft him in the first round of your rookie drafts. Now, 7th on my list is another wide receiver at Indiana, and that is Omar Cooper Jr. Now, Cooper is 6 foot, 204 pounds. He's got good size at the wide receiver position, a third-year player from Indiana. Now, last year he had a good season, just under 600 yards, 7 touchdowns, but on less than 30 receptions. So he was really seen as just a deep threat, a field stretcher, and he did it very well in his second year in college. Now with Fernando Mendoza on the team, this Indiana squad really looking good, really coming together, he has been an absolute threat all over the field. Now his yards per route run metric is over 3 on the season, top 10 among these power 4 wide receivers, and that is something that really stands out on a prospect profile. Other top 5 metrics, missed tackles forced, yards after the catch, and he's a top 10 PFF graded wide receiver this season. And yes, he is a downfield threat. He's a deep threat. That's a lot of what he's going to do. But he's shown a broader skill set this year that includes what I think is just an incredible catch radius and something that I think will be very important at the NFL level. He's also someone that is extremely hard to bring down. He's not the biggest wide receiver at 6 foot, 204, but he's got good enough size, and he is just a hard tackle. Like I said, 5th in the power 4 wide receivers at missed tackles forced, and you can see it on film. He breaks tackles, picks up extra yards regularly on his catches. Now, this is a receiver that wasn't on a lot of radars coming into this season. He wasn't thought of as a top prospect for this NFL draft class, but he's quickly made a name for himself here, and I think he's someone that will be selected on the second day of the NFL draft, probably in the second round. Those are my top 3 tiers at wide receiver in this 2026 class. Well, I'm going to work through these next 2 tiers a little bit quicker. Don't worry, because we are going to have individual player prospect profiles starting in December. So go ahead and subscribe, keep an eye on the channel, because we are going to dive even deeper into these prospects once the college regular season ends. Now, my 8th ranked wide receiver prospect is Chris Brazzell II out of Tennessee, a 6'5", 200-pound wide receiver. A great frame on this wide receiver out of Tennessee. Came from Tulane originally and transferred last year to Tennessee. His first year in Tennessee, not incredible, 330 yards on 29 receptions. Maybe wasn't utilized the best in his first season here in Tennessee. But this year, the production has really come around. He's already almost at 600 yards on the season and 7 touchdowns. Now, it can always feel a little weird with these Tennessee offenses. They're a little gimmicky, so translating any position player into the NFL can be a little difficult. But the production has really been there for Brazzell. Top 10 in yards and touchdowns, first downs as well, and he's played very well against zone defenses so far this season. And watching the film on Brazzell, I think his feet are very quick for that 6'5" frame. He has good contested catch ability down the field, and I just see a lot of potential. I can see that if he is utilized the right way, if he continues to develop as a route runner, that he could really be good. He could really be a wide receiver 1, and that's not something you can say for many players once you get this far down a rankings list in any given class. I think with that 6'5" frame and just the potential that Brazzell shows on film, I think an NFL team is going to be willing to spend a middle of the second round selection in the upcoming NFL draft on Brazzell. Now, 9th in my wide receiver rankings is Jacoby Lane out of USC, another large framed wide receiver at 6'4", 200 pounds. While Lane's numbers don't look incredible, keep in mind that he is sharing the field with Makai Lemon, my number 1 ranked wide receiver prospect in this class, so he's not going to be able to dominate touches the way that some other wide receivers can as the wide receiver 1 on their college team. Still, his numbers look very good. Over 2.6 yards per route run is a very good metric. 21st in that PFF grade. His yards per reception are very high. He is a deep threat kind of player. Again, this reminds me a little bit of Omar Cooper Jr., Again, a good offense, explosive offense, maybe the number 2 wide receiver on this team, but really able to make a difference down the field. And that's what I'm seeing with Jacoby Lane. Some of the catches you see Lane make down the field are downright ridiculous. He has an incredible catch radius. He is able to track deep balls like one of the best players in this class. He also just has great straight line speed. I think this is someone that if he tests well at the combine, he could be a real riser on draft day. Lane is someone that you're definitely going to want to keep your eye on through the pre-draft process, and someone that I will certainly be keeping my eye on. Now, 10th on my list, and the last player that I think fits into this tier of players that could go in the second round of the NFL draft, is Chris Bell out of Louisville. Now, Chris Bell is someone that wasn't talked about much at all coming into this season. He's in his 4th year at Louisville, 6'2", 220 pounds, so he is built perfectly to be an NFL wide receiver. He slowly increased production over his 3 previous years at Louisville, ended up with just over 730 receiving yards for 4 touchdowns on 43 receptions last year. Good marks, but nothing that's going to wow you and make you think that he is a favorite to go in this class. Now, this year he is really standing out. He has he ranks in the top 10 in so many different categories across these Power 4 wide receivers. 7th in receptions, 4th in yards, up there in touchdowns, 10th in yards per route run, over that 3 mark that really makes you stand out as a prospect at the wide receiver position. And he has been, according to PFF, the number 1 wide receiver against man this season. These last 2 weeks, he's put up incredible performances, 170 yards against Virginia, followed up with 136 yards against Miami, in a game that a lot of people were checking out. It was one of those Friday night games. And that 136 yards, 2 touchdowns against Miami, I think is really going to put Bell up a lot of boards, and you may even see him a lot higher than 10th here, and that's totally understandable. He has the production to be ranked a lot higher. Now, while I said he has really good size for the NFL, I've also mentioned how the NFL's moving away a bit from these big, strong wide receivers, more into the speedy wide receivers. Now, the size doesn't need to count against you as long as you have that speed, but I'm just not seeing it on tape with Chris Bell. Maybe at the combine he proves me wrong and he runs a good time, but right now I see a little bit of a slow feet in his game. His route running isn't incredibly refined, and it's something that makes me think he'll be more one-dimensional at the NFL level and may take some time even there to develop into a starter. Don't get me wrong, though, the production has been great for Bell this season, and I am excited to see what he continues to do throughout the rest of this senior season for him at Louisville. Now for my 11th ranked player, a bit of a contrast to Bell, and this is Eric Singleton out of Auburn. Now, he's a 5'10", 180-pound wide receiver. He's a very small wide receiver. He also doesn't have the same production metrics that you're going to see a lot of these guys in this video having. He is probably the worst production player that I'm going to rank in this video. But the reason he's up at 11th is what I see on film. Now, he's only got 1.81 yards per route run. That is not a very good metric, and I'm hoping to see that go up a little bit over the second half of this college season. But what I see on tape just stands out so strongly that I have to rank him at least this high. His speed is blazing. At the combine, he might just blow people away. He might come close to that Xavier Worthy record that we saw set a couple of years back. Now, he's been used mostly as like a gadget type of wide receiver, a lot of screens, the occasional just deep routes, sideline, go route with his speed. But anytime he runs a route over the middle of the field, a curl route, the separation he gets at the top of his route is just so substantial. He's able to break down out of these routes extremely well, and I think it's something that will translate incredibly to the NFL. Now, if you're looking at these numbers and just saying, no, he's not on my draft board, look at this production, it's not there, how's he going to produce at the NFL level? Well, he's not going to have a quarterback that's as awful as he's had this season at Auburn. Among the Power 4 quarterbacks, PFF has the Auburn quarterback graded as 54th out of those 62 quarterbacks. In NFL passer rating terms, it works out to 55th out of those 62 quarterbacks. He has been one of the worst quarterbacks in college football, and you can't really hold that against Eric Singleton. Now, it can be scary to rank these guys based on what you see on film, not just on the production, but that's why you tune into these videos. You can see these clips that I'm showing you, and once we get into the breakdown, the specific profile on Eric Singleton, I'm really excited to show some of the film and some of my insight into why I think he could really break out at the NFL level. Okay, if you didn't like the receiver with not a lot of production, I'm going to give you someone who has the production, and that is my 12th ranked wide receiver, Hank Beatty, out of Illinois. Only 5'11", 185 pounds, pretty much just a slot player, and projects to be that at the NFL level as well. But his production has been very good. He is 6th among these Power 4 wide receivers in yards. He is 3rd in yards per route run at just under 3.7. That is an incredible metric that just shows that he deserves to be talked about in this class of wide receivers. Now, despite this production, there's a lot of things working against Beatty on his profile. First of all, his size. He plays pretty much exclusively out of the slot. He is a quick player, but fairly limited. Doesn't have, obviously, that size, and we're relying on just now 4th-year production. So he spent 4 years here at Illinois, and up until this year, he hasn't cracked 300 yards in a season. So we're really going off of a 1-year sample size of, now, albeit very good production, but a very small sample size, and he is not the traditional build of a NFL wide receiver. At least not one that's super productive for fantasy. Now, while there are those red flags on his profile, there's still this production here. He is that high in the yards per route run, and if you see him on film here, he is a very electric player. He's exciting. He can beat guys all over the field. He looks like that traditional quick slot receiver. Now, I think his role in the NFL will depend more on what team he lands with, what coaching staff he lands with, and that will have a big factor in determining how he plays for fantasy for you. At 13 here, we have Antonio Williams out of Clemson, 5'11", 190 pounds, but he actually looks a lot bigger than that on tape. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the guys that measure larger than they are listed in college. Now, the numbers you're seeing here are not very good, and that's because he's missed 3 games so far in this short season that we have so far. And on top of that, this Clemson offense has been a disaster. Now, part of that is that Williams missed time. He is the wide receiver 1 for this Clemson team, and while he's missed time, they have not looked good. Klubnik has gone from potentially the quarterback 1 in this class to off a whole lot of boards at this point because of the play in this Clemson passing offense so far. Now, in the 3 games since he's been back, the offense has looked better, but he hasn't returned to his form that we saw last year. Last year, Williams had 75 receptions for 900 yards and 11 touchdowns. He had a very good junior season. Now going into his final college season, the injuries, obviously, and just poor overall play by Clemson have definitely dampened the mood, and that's why he's down here as the 13th wide receiver for me. But we can't just forget what he has done previously, and I'm definitely leaving the door open to a strong second half of the season, bringing him back up into the top 10 of this class at the wide receiver position. All right, last on my rankings here for the wide receiver position in the 2026 class, I'm going to highlight Germie Bernard out of Alabama. 6'1", 204-pound receiver. He's really just put up overall solid numbers across the board these last 2 seasons. Now, last season was Bernard's first at Alabama. Finished the year with 50 receptions for just under 800 yards and a couple touchdowns. A really good season. Followed up this year by another solid season. He's gotten into the end zone a little bit more. That yards per route run over 2 again. Now, nothing really stands out in the profile for Bernard, statistically and on film. On film, he looks quite fast. Maybe he's going to test out as an above-average speedy wide receiver, and at 205 pounds, that's a very good thing to see in a profile, but not a whole lot else shows out. There's not this elite route running, elite separation. He's not this great contested catch kind of wide receiver. He doesn't demand targets at an insane rate. But there's nowhere where he's deficient to the level that I'm going to give him a big hit on his profile either. This is someone that just overall, all around, very good. Reminds me a little bit of Emeka Egbuka last year. Obviously not at that same level of prospect as Egbuka was, but just overall, I think he can do a little bit of everything and is someone that NFL teams will look at and just say, this is someone that can come in and play a good role in my wide receiver room and have a chance to break out at that NFL level. So those are my top 14 wide receivers. If there's anyone you think I missed that should be on the list, go ahead and comment who you think should be added below. We're going to continue to update these rankings in through the offseason and leading up into the NFL draft. So if that's where you're at with your dynasty team, if you're looking forward to next year, if you have a couple picks in this draft, go ahead and subscribe, and we're going to keep bringing you these prospect contents throughout the offseason.